Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn listening English with a story. Story, Road Trip to the Beach. Chapter 1, The Open Road Beckons. Mark, a young man in his early 20s, stood beside his old but reliable blue car, affectionately nicknamed Bluebird. It was a sunny Friday morning, and excitement buzzed in the air like the summer insects already starting to chirp. Mark was about to embark on a long-planned road trip, a solo adventure driving through 5 states to reach the sandy beaches of Florida. He had just finished his university exams and felt the urgent need for a break, a change of scenery, and the freedom of the open road. He'd packed his car the night before: a tent, sleeping bag, a cooler box filled with snacks and drinks, a guitar, and a road map, although he mostly planned to rely on his phone's GPS. Mark checked his list one last time. Sunglasses? Check. Sunscreen? Check. Beach towel? Check. Music playlist? Double check! He grinned, feeling a surge of anticipation. This trip was all about escaping routine, embracing spontaneity, and finally seeing the ocean after months of being cooped up studying. His parents came out to wave him off. His mom, always practical, handed him a small container of homemade cookies. "For the journey, dear. And drive carefully. Call us when you reach Florida." His dad, ever the adventurer at heart, clapped him on the back. "Have a fantastic time, Mark. Enjoy the freedom, see the sights, and make some memories. But remember, safety first." Mark hugged them both, feeling a warmth of love and support that made him even more eager to make this trip a success. He got into Bluebird, adjusted the mirrors, and turned the key in the ignition. The engine sputtered to life, a familiar rumble that sounded like a happy purr to Mark's ears. With a final wave to his parents, who stood at the end of the driveway, Mark put the car into gear and pulled away. As he drove down his street and onto the highway, a sense of exhilaration washed over him. The open road stretched ahead, promising adventure, sunshine, and the sound of ocean waves. He turned up his music, a playlist of upbeat summer tunes, and Bluebird hummed along, eager to begin their journey south towards the beach. 5 states, countless miles, and the promise of the ocean breeze. Mark was ready for it all. Chapter 2, Miles and Music. The first day of driving was smooth and enjoyable. Mark cruised along the highway mile after mile, watching the scenery change outside his window. He started in his home state with rolling green hills and forests. Then he drove into the next state, where the landscape became flatter, with wide open fields and farms stretching as far as the eye could see. He listened to his music playlist, singing along to his favorite songs, feeling the wind in his hair as he drove with the windows down. He stopped for lunch at a small roadside diner in a quiet town. He ordered a big burger and fries, feeling hungry after hours on the road. The diner was simple but friendly, with old-fashioned decorations and a waitress who smiled and chatted with him about his trip. In the afternoon, the weather started to change. The sky became cloudy, and the wind picked up. Soon, it started to rain, not just a light shower, but a heavy downpour. Mark had to slow down and turn on his windshield wipers to their fastest setting. The rain made driving a bit more difficult, but he didn't mind too much. He put on some slower, more relaxing music and enjoyed the cozy feeling of being inside his car, listening to the rain drumming on the roof. As evening approached, Mark started to look for a place to stop for the night. He had planned to camp to save money, but with the heavy rain, camping didn't seem like a good idea. He saw a sign for a small motel just off the highway and decided to check it out. The motel was called Sunset Inn, and it looked a bit old, but it was clean and dry. The owner, a friendly older man, gave him a good price for a room for the night. Mark was happy to have a warm, dry place to sleep. He checked into his room, which was simple but comfortable. He took a hot shower, changed into some dry clothes, and then went to the motel's small restaurant for dinner. He had a simple meal of pasta and salad, reading a book while he ate. After dinner, he called his parents to let them know he was safe and sound. They were happy to hear from him and told him to be careful driving in the rain. Mark promised he would. Back in his motel room, Mark looked at his map, planning his route for the next day. He was still a long way from Florida, but he was making good progress. He felt tired, but content. The first day of his road trip had been a success, even with the rain. He drifted off to sleep, dreaming of sunshine, beaches, and the sound of ocean waves, excited for the adventures that lay ahead on day 2 of his journey. Chapter 4, Sunshine and a Clean Car. After fixing the flat tire, Mark felt much better. The sun was shining now and it was getting warmer. The dust from changing the tire was all over Bluebird, his car. He turned up the music and drove on. The road went through more green forests. He started to see bigger trees that gave nice shade by the road. He passed some small towns. They looked friendly and quiet. In the afternoon, Mark drove into the 4th state. He felt the air change. It was warmer and wetter now. He saw a sign for a nice viewpoint on the road and decided to stop. He parked Bluebird and got out. He stretched his arms and legs. The view was very good. He could see hills covered with trees. Far away, he saw a blue lake shining in the sun. The sun was going down slowly, making the view golden. Mark took his camera and took some photos. He wanted to remember this beautiful place. Then he opened his cool box and got a drink and a sandwich. He sat and ate, looking at the view. While he was sitting there, he noticed Bluebird. After driving for so long, and with the flat tire, Bluebird was very dirty. He thought, Bluebird needs a wash. He remembered seeing a car wash in a small town a few miles back. When he finished eating, Mark drove back to the town. He found the car wash. It was a place where you wash your car yourself. He parked Bluebird in an empty space and got ready to clean. First, he put some coins in the machine. He used the water hose to spray the car. This washed off the dust and mud. Then he took the brush with soap and started to scrub Bluebird. He cleaned the roof, the sides, and the wheels. Finally, he used the water again to rinse off all the soap. Bluebird was now clean and shiny again. Mark used a soft cloth to dry the car. He felt happy. Bluebird looked much better. It was ready to drive to Florida. Mark also felt better. The stop, the view, and washing the car made him feel fresh. He got back in Bluebird, which was now clean and sparkling in the sun. He checked his map again. Florida was still some hours away, but he was getting closer. He was excited to reach the beach soon. He started the car and drove on, towards the sunshine and the sea, with Bluebird shining brightly on the road. Chapter 5, Florida Sun and Ocean Waves. The last few hours of driving flew by, as anticipation grew with every mile. As dusk approached, the landscape transformed once more. The forests gave way to palm trees, the air became noticeably warmer and salty, and signs for beaches and coastal towns started to appear. Mark knew he was close. Finally, he crossed the state line into Florida. A large sign welcomed him to the Sunshine State. He grinned, feeling a surge of triumph. He had made it. 5 states, 1 flat tire, and many miles later he had driven all the way to Florida. He followed his GPS directions to the coastal town he had chosen as his destination, a place called Seaside Cove, known for its beautiful beaches and laid-back atmosphere. As he drove into Seaside Cove, the air was filled with the sounds of crashing waves and the cries of seagulls. He could smell the salty ocean breeze, a scent he had been longing for throughout his journey. He found the campsite he had booked online, a small, friendly place just a short walk from the beach. He checked in, pitched his tent quickly, and then, without even unpacking properly, he grabbed his beach towel and headed straight for the ocean. The beach was even more beautiful than he had imagined. Soft, white sand stretched as far as he could see, meeting the turquoise waters of the Atlantic Ocean. The sun was setting, painting the sky in vibrant colors of orange, pink, and purple. The waves were rolling in gently, creating a soothing, rhythmic sound. Mark kicked off his shoes, feeling the warm sand between his toes for the first time in what felt like forever. He walked down to the water's edge, the cool waves washing over his feet, instantly refreshing after the long drive. He spread out his towel on the sand, sat down, and just gazed out at the ocean, taking in the beauty of the sunset and the vastness of the sea. He stayed on the beach until the last rays of sunlight faded and the stars began to appear in the darkening sky. The air was still warm and pleasant, the sound of the waves a constant, calming presence. He felt a sense of peace and contentment wash over him, a feeling of having truly escaped the stress of exams and city life. Over the next few days, Mark spent his time relaxing on the beach, swimming in the ocean, soaking up the Florida sunshine. He read books, played his guitar, and simply enjoyed the slow pace of beach life. He explored the small town, ate fresh seafood at local restaurants, and watched the sunset over the ocean every evening. He even met some friendly people at the campsite, other travelers, families on vacation, and locals who welcomed him to Seaside Cove. He shared stories of his road trip, and they shared their own travel adventures. As his short beach vacation came to an end, Mark felt refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to head back home. The drive back would be long, but he didn't mind. He had achieved what he set out to do. He had escaped, he had found adventure, and he had reached the beach. He packed up his campsite, washed Bluebird one last time to remove the beach sand, and started his drive north. As he drove away from Seaside Cove, he looked back at the ocean one last time, promising himself that he would return someday. The road trip had been more than just a drive to the beach. It had been a journey of self-discovery, a chance to test his resilience, and an opportunity to appreciate the simple joys of freedom and the open road. And even the flat tire, in retrospect, had become just another part of the adventure, a story to tell, a challenge overcome. Mark smiled, feeling grateful for Bluebird, for the open road, and for the sunshine and ocean waves of Florida that had made his road trip dream a perfect reality. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. Thank you. Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn listening English with a story. Emily's City Stitch. Chapter 1. Dusty Roads and City Dreams. Emily stood at the edge of the rice paddy, the familiar scent of damp earth and ripening rice heavy in the morning air. The sun was just beginning to peek over the distant mountains, painting the sky in soft hues of pink and orange. It was a beautiful scene, the kind that postcards were made of, the kind that spoke of peace and tranquility. But for Emily, this beauty was intertwined with a growing sense of restlessness. For 22 years, Emily had known only this life. The rhythm of the seasons dictating her days, the hard work in the fields, the close-knit community of her village. She loved her family, the gentle pace of life, the familiar faces of her neighbors. But a seed of ambition had taken root in her heart, a yearning for something more than the quiet predictability of her rural existence. She had finished high school, excelling in her studies despite the limited resources of the village school. Her parents, rice farmers with calloused hands and kind eyes, had always encouraged her education, even though they themselves had not had the same opportunities. They dreamed of a better future for Emily, one that wasn't solely dependent on the unpredictable harvests and the vagaries of the weather. Emily dreamed, too, of a different kind of life, a life she imagined existed only in the bustling city of Hanoi, a place she had only seen in pictures and on television. She envisioned tall buildings that touched the sky, streets teeming with people from all walks of life, and opportunities that stretched beyond the horizon of her village. Today was the day she would finally take the leap. She had saved every penny she could from her small earnings, helping neighbors with their harvests and tutoring younger children in the village. It wasn't much, but it was enough for a one-way bus ticket and a few weeks of basic accommodation in the city, she hoped. Her parents stood beside her, their faces a mixture of pride and worry. Her mother's eyes were slightly red-rimmed, and her father's usual jovial demeanor was subdued. They understood her ambition, they supported her dreams, but the thought of their only daughter venturing into the unknown of the city filled them with a quiet anxiety. "Be careful, Emily," her mother said, her voice thick with emotion, adjusting the worn cloth bag slung over Emily's shoulder. "The city is different from our village. People are busy, life is fast. Don't forget who you are, where you come from." "I won't, Ma," Emily promised, her voice firm despite the lump forming in her own throat. "I'll work hard, I'll be careful, and I'll come back to visit as soon as I can." Her father placed a hand on her shoulder, his calloused fingers surprisingly gentle. "Your mother is right, Emily. Be strong, be smart, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. We are always here for you, no matter what." The old sputtering village bus pulled up, its brakes groaning in protest. It was time to go. Emily hugged her mother tightly, burying her face in her familiar, comforting scent of sunshine and earth. Then she turned to her father, offering him a deep bow of respect and gratitude. He clasped her hands in his eyes conveying a silent blessing. With a deep breath, Emily climbed onto the bus, finding a window seat near the back. As the bus lurched forward, leaving her village behind, she looked back, waving to her parents, who stood watching until the bus rounded a bend, and they disappeared from view. A wave of sadness washed over her, a pang of homesickness already tugging at her heart. But beneath the sadness, a stronger feeling surged. Excitement, anticipation, and a fierce determination to make her city dreams a reality. The dusty road ahead was long and uncertain, but Emily was ready to face it, ready to build a new life for herself, brick by brick, in the sprawling, unknown city of Hanoi. Chapter 2, Hanoi Hustle. The bus journey to Hanoi was long and bumpy, the landscape outside the window gradually transforming from the familiar green rice paddies and water buffalo to a blur of concrete buildings, bustling markets, and a cacophony of sounds. Emily pressed her face against the window, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and apprehension as the bus finally pulled into Hanoi's chaotic bus station. The station was a whirlwind of activity. People rushing in all directions, vendors hawking their wares, the constant honking of motorbikes, and the announcements blaring from loudspeakers in Vietnamese. It was a stark contrast to the peaceful quiet of her village, and for a moment, Emily felt a pang of disorientation, a sense of being utterly lost in a sea of unfamiliar faces and overwhelming noise. She disembarked from the bus, clutching her worn bag tightly, feeling small and out of place amidst the urban frenzy. Following the flow of people, she eventually found her way out of the station and onto a busy street. Motorbikes swarmed around her like buzzing insects, weaving through the traffic with seemingly reckless abandon. The air was thick with exhaust fumes and the smell of street food, a far cry from the fresh, clean air of her village. Emily had booked a cheap hostel online, a place described as basic but clean in the backpacker district. She pulled out her phone, its small screen displaying a map with confusingly overlapping streets and alleyways. Navigating the chaotic Hanoi traffic on foot with her heavy bag felt like a daunting task. Hesitantly, she approached a street vendor selling banh mi, pointing at her phone map and asking in hesitant Vietnamese, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to this place?" The vendor, a middle-aged woman with a kind face and a quick smile, peered at the phone screen, then pointed in a direction down a narrow alleyway. "Go straight, then turn left at the big tree. It's down that street, on the right side, maybe 10 minutes walk." She spoke quickly, her Vietnamese accented with the local Hanoi dialect, and Emily struggled to catch every word, but the general direction seemed clear enough. "Thank you," Emily said gratefully, offering the vendor a polite nod. She plunged into the alleyway, the noise of the main street fading slightly behind her. The alley was narrow and shaded, lined with small shops and houses, a different kind of bustle, more intimate and local. After a few wrong turns and a couple more hesitant inquiries, Emily finally found the hostel. It was tucked away down a quiet side street, a narrow building with a faded sign and a slightly worn facade. It was indeed basic, but it seemed clean enough, and the young man at the reception desk was friendly and spoke passable English. She checked in, relieved to finally have a place to rest her weary feet. Her dorm room was small and shared with 3 other travelers, but the bed was clean and there was a fan to combat the Hanoi humidity. After quickly unpacking her few belongings, Emily decided to venture out again to explore her new surroundings and, more importantly, to start her job search. She had brought with her a neatly prepared CV, highlighting her strong academic record and her limited but enthusiastic work experience in the village. She knew finding a good job in Hanoi wouldn't be easy, especially without city connections or specialized skills. But Emily was determined. She was a hard worker, quick to learn, and willing to take on any opportunity that came her way. Armed with her CV and a map of the city, Emily stepped back out into the Hanoi streets. The afternoon sun was beating down, the city's energy still buzzing around her. She started walking, her eyes scanning shop windows and notice boards, her ears open to any snippets of conversation that might hint at job openings. The city felt vast and overwhelming, a labyrinth of streets and possibilities, and Emily knew that her journey in Hanoi was just beginning. A journey filled with both challenges and the promise of a new life, waiting to be discovered, one step at a time. Chapter 3. Job Hunting in the City. Emily's first few days in Hanoi were a whirlwind of activity, mostly focused on the daunting task of finding a job. She quickly learned that the city was a competitive place, especially for someone like her, a newcomer from the countryside with limited city experience. She started her search by visiting local cafes and shops, places she thought might be looking for staff. Armed with her CV, she walked into a brightly lit coffee shop, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee momentarily easing her anxieties. She approached the counter, where a young woman with perfectly styled hair and a smart uniform was serving customers. "Excuse me," Emily began hesitantly in Vietnamese. Are you hiring?" The barista looked at her, her expression polite but slightly dismissive. "Hiring? For what position?" she asked, her tone brisk and businesslike. Emily, slightly flustered, held out her CV. I'm looking for any job, really. I am hardworking and eager to learn." The barista glanced at the CV, her eyes quickly scanning the page. "We usually require experience in a similar role," she said, handing the CV back to Emily with a polite but firm shake of her head. "Thank you for your interest." Emily felt a pang of disappointment, but she tried to remain positive. It was just one coffee shop, she told herself. There were many more opportunities in a city as big as Hanoi. She spent the next few days pounding the pavements, visiting small restaurants, clothing stores, and even a bustling supermarket. Each time she presented her CV, her hopes rising slightly with each new attempt, only to be met with similar polite rejections. "No vacancies at the moment. We require more experience. Thank you. We will keep your CV on file." The phrases became a disheartening chorus in her mind. The initial optimism she had felt on the bus journey began to wane, replaced by a growing sense of discouragement. Her savings were dwindling faster than she had anticipated, and the cheap hostel, while basic, was still costing her money each day. Doubt started to creep in. Had she been foolish to think she could just come to the city and find a good job so easily? Was she being unrealistic in her dreams? One afternoon, feeling particularly disheartened after another round of rejections, Emily found herself wandering through a bustling market area, filled with stalls selling everything from fresh produce to clothes and household goods. The vibrant colors and lively atmosphere were momentarily distracting, but her worries still lingered. She stopped at a small street food stall, the delicious smell of pho wafting through the air, making her stomach rumble. She ordered a bowl, needing a moment to rest and gather her thoughts. As she sat on a small plastic stool, slurping the comforting soup, she overheard a conversation between two women at the next table. They were speaking quickly in Vietnamese, but Emily managed to catch a few phrases. "New tailor shop, needs assistance, near Hoan Kiem Lake." Her ears perked up. A tailor shop? She had always been good with her hands, helping her mother with mending and sewing clothes in the village. She might not have professional tailoring experience, but perhaps she could learn. Perhaps they would be willing to give her a chance. Finishing her pho with renewed determination, Emily pulled out her phone again, searching for tailor shops near Hoan Kiem Lake. Several listings popped up. She chose one that seemed promising, a shop called Elegant Stitches, noting down the address. With a renewed sense of hope, Emily set off towards Hoan Kiem Lake, the address of the tailor shop her new destination. A small flicker of optimism rekindled in her heart amidst the bustling Hanoi hustle. Perhaps, just perhaps, this could be the opportunity she had been searching for. Chapter 4. Elegant Stitches and a Sewing Machine Song. Elegant Stitches was tucked away on a quieter street just a few blocks from the bustling shores of Hoan Kiem Lake. It was a small shop, but the window display was tastefully arranged, showcasing elegant dresses and finely tailored suits. The soft glow of warm lighting spilled out onto the street, creating an inviting and slightly more upscale atmosphere than the other shops Emily had visited. Taking a deep breath to calm her nerves, Emily stepped inside. The interior was small but beautifully decorated, with racks of colorful fabrics, mannequins draped in stylish garments, and the gentle hum of sewing machines in the back. The air smelled faintly of fabric and thread, a comforting, industrious scent. Behind a counter piled with fabric samples and order books, stood a woman with a warm smile and impeccably tailored clothes. She looked up as Emily entered, her expression welcoming. "Chào bạn, welcome to Elegant Stitches," she greeted Emily in Vietnamese, her voice gentle and refined. "How can I help you?" Emily, feeling a surge of hope and a little less intimidated by the shop's elegant appearance than she had anticipated, returned the greeting. "Chào cô," she replied politely. I saw online that you might be looking for assistance." She held out her CV again, feeling slightly more confident this time. The woman took the CV, her smile remaining warm. "Ah, yes, we are," she said, glancing at the paper. "Let me see. Emily, from the countryside, I see. And you are interested in working here?" "Yes, very much," Emily replied earnestly. "I am a hard worker and I am eager to learn. I don't have professional tailoring experience, but I am good with my hands and I learn quickly. I helped my mother with sewing in my village." The woman's eyebrows rose slightly, a hint of interest in her eyes. "Sewing experience, even from home, is always a good start," she said thoughtfully. "My name is Madame Thu, by the way. I own this shop." She extended her hand across the counter. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Madame Thu," Emily replied, shaking her hand respectfully. Madame Thu studied Emily's CV for a few moments longer, her expression thoughtful. "We are looking for someone to help with basic tasks at first, organizing fabrics, assisting customers, perhaps some simple hand sewing. Are you willing to start with that kind of work?" "Yes, absolutely," Emily replied quickly, her heart leaping with excitement. "I am happy to do any work, to learn everything I can." Madame Thu smiled again, a genuine warm smile that put Emily at ease. "Good," she said. "Enthusiasm is important. Tell me, Emily, do you have any examples of your sewing work? Anything you have made, even simple things?" Emily hesitated for a moment. She hadn't thought to bring examples of her village sewing. Then she remembered the bag slung over her shoulder, the worn cloth bag her mother had packed for her journey. It was simple, hand-stitched, but sturdy and well-made. She unslung the bag and carefully took it out, offering it to Madame Thu. This is the bag my mother made for me for my journey to Hanoi," Emily explained, a touch of pride in her voice. "But I helped her make it. All the stitching is by hand." Madame Thu took the bag, examining it closely, running her fingers over the neat, even stitches. She turned it inside out, inspecting the seams and the overall construction. Her expression remained thoughtful, but Emily could sense a flicker of approval in her eyes. After a moment, Madame Thu looked up, her smile widening. "This is very neat work, Emily," she said, handing the bag back to her. "Your stitching is precise and strong. You clearly have a natural aptitude for this." Emily's heart soared. A compliment from Madame Thu, a woman who clearly knew quality tailoring, meant more than any formal qualification. "Thank you, Madame Thu," Emily said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Tell you what, Emily," Madame Thu said, leaning forward slightly. "I am willing to give you a chance. Start tomorrow. We can see how you do with the basic tasks, and if you are as eager to learn as you say, we can teach you more about tailoring. How does that sound?" Emily could barely contain her excitement. "It sounds wonderful, Madame Thu. Thank you so much. I won't let you down." Madame Thu chuckled. "I hope not. Be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And Emily," she added, her voice softening slightly, "welcome to Hanoi and welcome to Elegant Stitches." As Emily stepped back out onto the Hanoi street, the afternoon sun seemed to shine a little brighter, the city noise a little less overwhelming. She had done it. She had found a job. It was just a starting point, a basic position, but it was a foot in the door, an opportunity to learn and grow. And as she walked back towards her hostel, the sounds of Hanoi seemed to transform, no longer a chaotic jumble, but a vibrant, hopeful song, a sewing machine's song of possibility, and a new beginning. Chapter 5, Threads of Success. Emily's first few weeks at Elegant Stitches were a steep learning curve, but she embraced every challenge with enthusiasm and a tireless work ethic. Madame Thu was a demanding but patient teacher, and the other tailors in the shop, initially reserved, gradually warmed to Emily's cheerful demeanor and eagerness to learn. She started with the most basic tasks: organizing fabric swatches, sweeping the shop floor, running errands to the fabric market, and carefully hand-stitching hems and buttons. She watched the experienced tailors with rapt attention, absorbing every detail of their skilled movements, the way they handled the fabrics, the precision of their stitching, the artistry of their designs. During her lunch breaks and after work, Emily practiced diligently, using scraps of fabric to hone her hand-sewing techniques, mimicking the stitches she had observed in the atelier. She asked Madame Thu countless questions, soaking up her knowledge like a sponge. Madame Thu, impressed by Emily's dedication, started to give her slightly more complex tasks, assisting with pattern cutting, operating the simpler sewing machines, and even taking basic measurements for clients. Emily discovered a natural aptitude for tailoring. She had a keen eye for detail, steady hands, and a genuine love for the craft. She found satisfaction in transforming flat pieces of fabric into elegant garments, in the precision of each stitch, in the way a well-tailored piece could enhance someone's confidence and style. Months turned into a year, and Emily's skills progressed rapidly. She became proficient in operating all the sewing machines in the atelier, mastered pattern making and alterations, and developed a keen understanding of different fabrics and their properties. Madame Thu, recognizing Emily's talent and dedication, promoted her to a junior tailor position, giving her more responsibility and a significant increase in salary. With her increased income, Emily was able to move out of the cramped hostel and rent a small but private room in a shared house, offering her more comfort and space. She started sending money back to her parents in the village regularly, easing their financial burdens and making them immensely proud of her achievements. Elegant Stitches flourished, and Emily became an integral part of its success. Her talent for tailoring, combined with her warm personality and excellent customer service skills, made her a favorite with clients. She developed her own loyal clientele, customers who specifically requested her expertise and trusted her judgment. Years passed. Emily continued to hone her skills, attending advanced tailoring workshops in Hanoi, and even taking a short course in fashion design. She became known in the Hanoi tailoring scene for her meticulous work, her creative flair, and her ability to create perfectly fitted, elegant garments. One day, Madame Thu, now considering retirement, approached Emily with a proposition that took her breath away. "Emily," she said, her voice filled with warmth and pride, "I am ready to retire, to spend more time with my grandchildren, and I can't think of anyone I would trust more to take over Elegant Stitches than you." Emily was stunned, speechless for a moment. To take over Elegant Stitches, the shop where she had started with no experience, just a dream and a worn cloth bag? It was beyond anything she had ever imagined. "Madame Thu," Emily finally managed to say, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. I don't know what to say. Are you serious?" Madame Thu smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Never more serious, Emily. You have the talent, the work ethic, and the passion. Elegant Stitches is your legacy now, if you want it." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, tears of gratitude, joy, and a profound sense of accomplishment. She had come to Hanoi with nothing but a small bag and a city dream. Now, years later, she was being offered the opportunity to own a thriving business, a testament to her hard work, her determination, and her unwavering spirit. "Yes, Madame Thu," Emily said, her voice firm and clear, a newfound confidence resonating within her. "Yes, I want it. I will make you proud. I will make Elegant Stitches even more elegant." And so, Emily, the woman who had arrived in Hanoi with dusty roads behind her and city dreams in her heart, stepped into a new chapter of her life. A chapter filled with the hum of sewing machines, the rustle of fine fabrics, and the sweet song of success, woven thread by thread in the heart of the bustling city she now called home. She had found her stability. She had made her money. But more importantly, she had built a life of purpose, passion, and a quiet, enduring pride in her own hard-earned achievements. And every now and then, when the scent of damp earth and ripening rice drifted in on a breeze from the countryside, she remembered her roots, her parents' love, and the dusty road that had led her to her city dreams, now beautifully, elegantly stitched into reality. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. Thank you.